back again in Animoji Motivation Podcast or whatever it is. So basically, I'm just trying to do another live stream directly into YouTube that I basically done only during my free time because I just cannot really do it that often, especially when it is pretty annoying, especially on how to set up the stream. So there is some additional step rather than one that I basically do if was not a live stream. So that's the reason why. And for some reason right now the monitoring seems to be not working again, which I just don't know what to do. But I think I just try to stream it, and hopefully there is a sound because probably it has happened because previously when during my free time I only tried to do a karaoke, but it was actually on the recording. So that's the reason why I try to do recording instead of live streaming is actually because it will most likely have a copyright, because for some reason the latest Animoji gaming video that I try to upload, which is the Giro Club Unlimited on the Nintendo Switch, which I never thought it was has a copyright music, and it turns out it has a lot of copyright music, and which is pretty annoying. And the only thing that I can basically do is just mute the whole audio, which also include the audio from my commentary from the Animoji itself. So I just don't know whether it will be good or not, because probably it was kinda like considered as a failed iMovie rendering, perhaps. I'm not sure, but probably when I try to upload this another video again, which is from the PlayStation 4 footage, one of the first PlayStation 4 footage, because it was a Watch Dogs 2 completion. Because I'm not sure whether when will I actually try to bought those game digitally on the PlayStation 4, because I think the first game that I tried to bought is actually Resident Evil Triple Pack on the PlayStation 4, even though it turns out I tried to buy it again on the Nintendo Switch physically. And before that probably I will actually bought the Watch Dogs 2 digital on the PlayStation 4, because during that time I've trying to hunt games which is pretty hard, especially in Indonesia, because there are a lot of resellers that basically hunt for second-hand PlayStation physical disc, original Blu-ray disc, which they will eventually sell it again. So at the time that I tried to sell one of the games that I used to own on the PlayStation 4, but I decided to sell it because I eventually wanted to focus on the PC. And less than a second, it was already sold for some reason, and I just don't get it. Why? Maybe they tried to use some sort of script or even a bot. I'm not sure, but it was pretty crazy. So that's the reason why it was pretty hard to hunt for second-hand Blu-ray disc, especially when it was currently rare or has a lot of demand. But right now I think it is no longer has a lot of demand, so for some games it is pretty easy to find, especially from those kind of reseller. I'm not sure, but so that's the reason why I decided to bought the digital version instead during that time. And it is pretty cheap actually, but for some reason I'm still not really like those games, because it seems to be has a weird user interface if you try to compare with the previous Watchdog or even the next Watchdog, which is the Watchdog Legion that I have been played not long after it, because I'm just trying to play the latest games instead of the previous one, even though I'm actually never been completed the second Watchdog before, because even for the first one it's already been so long that I have been trying to complete those games on the PC. So that's the reason why I really wanted to complete those games again, even though I'm not sure whether it will be easy or not if I try to complete on the PlayStation 4 because, of course, in the PlayStation 4 you just very hard to use trainer. So because I think I used to use trainer a lot in the Watchdog because yeah, for some reason the mission is pretty hard. Perhaps I'm not sure. So infinite health is really necessary to play. So beside that, yeah, I think yeah, there is some copyright content as well because for some reason when I try to play or record the Watchdog 2 gaming footage, I am still not really know how to turn off the radio, which is basically full of copyright music. So that's the reason why it was still kind of detected because I'm not try to filter it during the processing on the iMovie as well. So that's the reason why. And yeah, but it's still not as much as I think it was actually happen more on the Gear Club Unlimited, which is not really a popular games, but I just don't get it why many racing games, even though they basically don't even but a lot bought many license or even I'm not sure license for the cars perhaps they also try to bought the license for the music as well. I'm not sure because yeah, for some reason the reason why Grand Theft Auto 5 City Stories is cannot be released on the mobile until now, it's because it has a lot of copyright music inside it, including the one that basically inside one of the missions. So that's the reason why it's pretty unique. But yeah, sadly it was really need a lot of effort to remove those content and change it to another thing perhaps. So that's the reason why it's still not yet released. And yeah, another is obviously the Grand Theft Auto 5. It is actually one of the first gaming footage that I tried to record on the PlayStation 4. And yeah, of course, for some reason I'm not trying to mute the radio immediately, even though I actually know how to do that easily. So yeah, but I'm still not to do that. Maybe because for some reason at the moment that I try to record those game footage. I was thinking it was just basically pretty unnecessary, and it was just random GTA 5 footage because yeah, just like Watchdog 2, it was already completed by the previous owner of my PlayStation 4, which is my college friend. So that's the reason why there's not many things to do again unless I try to restart from the beginning. But yeah, it is pretty unnecessary because the only thing that I want to play is actually the GTA Online that I never played before for some reason. And yeah, but well, if you talk about playing GTA Online on the PlayStation 4, it is basically not possible, unlike when I try to play it on the PlayStation 3. So it needs some PlayStation Plus subscription, which is basically unworthy for me. So I do prefer to buy a new games or second hand games instead of buying those monthly subscription, which is basically can give you a free game digitally every month. But yeah, I don't know, most of the games that were provided is not the one that I actually really like as well. So that's the reason. And the other one that I've been not released, the other video, is actually just Middle Earth Shadow 4 games. So it was actually the cheapest games that I tried to sell. Maybe it's only around $7, even though for some reason the Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor, I think the prequel of the games, is actually one of the game of the year that used to be released on the PlayStation 4, but for some reason the Shadow of War seems to be not really popular. But when I try to see the top best-selling charts on the Steam in the PC, Shadow of War is actually one of them. So I just don't get it why in the PC it used to be very cheap games. Maybe it was actually played, the price is actually played by those mafia that has a lot of bots. So for some reason when they seems to be have a lot of in stock, of those second-hand games, they try to reduce the market price as low as possible. So that's the reason why, for some reason, when we are trying to sell the games, not in the right moment, so yeah, we are actually selling in a very low price. But yeah, thankfully I'm not really know, but how my previous or my college friend tried to bought it in the first place. So yeah, I only tried to bought the whole games that he had, and also the PlayStation 4, and as well as the 2 terabyte external hard drive for around $350. It is actually pretty cheap, even though, especially during the time that I actually bought those console, because during that time the VGA card of a PC is still very high and very expensive. So that's the reason why many people try to buy a console instead during that time, and it is actually making the console second-hand price is also increasing. So that's the reason why. And right now, since the VGA card price is already pretty much almost stable, so the console is also try to be reduced throughout the time. And yeah, maybe it is also caused by the next generation of the console is also getting cheaper, perhaps. I'm not sure, even though the PlayStation 5, if I'm not mistaken, is actually increased the price for some reason. I just don't get it. So yeah, that's the reason why. Yeah, what else did I want to talk about? Because the previous live streaming that I tried to make is actually reach up to 19 minutes, which is 2 minutes longer than my first live streaming, perhaps, which is around 17 minutes, but I'm not sure. Or it's actually the second live streaming, which is basically failed because there is no sound at all. And hopefully this live streaming has a good sound, because yeah, for some reason, if I try to talk about what I have said previously, it is basically pretty hard. And most likely because I just try to talk about without any script, so it's just directly impromptu. So most likely I will try to talk about other things instead of the one that I actually failed to explain on the previous live stream. So yeah, what else did I want to talk? So basically, I don't really like to create a very long video, because for me, I'm also not really like to watch a video that basically pretty long. More than 10 minutes is just pretty unnecessary to me. So I just don't get it why right now most people is basically try to create a very long content, especially when it comes to the podcast. So yeah, but right now I'm actually kind of like creating some sort of podcast, but the monologue podcast without anyone to talk about. So yeah, but it's actually pretty long, and yeah, maybe just like stand-up comedy, perhaps. I'm not sure, even though yeah, I'm not really like to provide some jokes inside this video. So yeah, probably I'm just trying to fulfill my free time, and yeah, for not regret from not doing it. So I just like to represent my what I'm currently think about, even though yeah, there is actually so many things that I want to talk, but I don't know, maybe I will try to talk about next time, such as the reason why I try to make this in English rather on my native language, even though I'm not sure whether I already tried to explain it before. But yeah, the reason is actually, I don't know, I just wanted to spread a lot of more audience, even though yeah, basically my own audience is actually more than enough, because yeah, if you talk about the most subscribed channel in Indonesia, it's basically can be considered one of the biggest YouTuber in the world, perhaps. I'm not sure, because yeah, that's the reason why some of the other countries, or even other YouTubers from other countries even try to provide their content in Indonesian language in order to gather Indonesian native audience, perhaps. I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe when I try to do that, I will try to create a new channel instead. I'm not sure because yeah, right now I think creating a whole new channels is pretty easy. So that's the reason why. And I just recently see that a channel that basically created less than a month ago, it's already can get a lot of more subscriber than me that was basically already created almost 15 years ago, but with the more videos that basically available as well. But yeah, for some reason there is only try to provide the content that basically currently in search by many people, so such as how the AI of the chat GPT is basically can do a lot of things that basically impossible previously. And yeah, even though basically if you talk about the AI, most of it is still basically resource had so many needed resources. So that's the reason why for some reason it's still not really common yet, especially when it really needs. I don't know what to say, but because yeah, there's so many things that I basically have talked about, and maybe I will try to explain it later because yeah, I just want to stop the streaming right now. Maybe it's already pretty long. It's already 16 minutes if I see on the OBS Studio. Maybe I will try to check whether it is actually a success or not. Hopefully, because I cannot monitor the audio for some reason. So yeah, that's all.